Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, hello. Ladies and gentlemen, theys and thems, everyone in between. Hello, welcome to the official, the unofficial OTL roster review for the first Cube season. Give me a quick second while I get everything ready on my end, but we are going for it. And at Cubers. There we go. Fix that ping. Okay, there we go. We have posted the links. We have harassed the people. There's one more peoples I need to harass. There we go. Hello everyone. I'm Jortson. We're cube maxing today. We are back on our cubing. Yo, Drix is here. Hello. We're back on the cube thing. For those of you who weren't around, about 2 weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago? Oh my god, that was so long ago. Maybe it was less than that. I did a review of this format featuring the lead designer of it, Kilika. And we talked about what Cube was, what it all entailed, some of the creative and difficult decision making that went on behind the scenes, and we have officially launched the Cube season. We've had draft start and complete. All of the 4 divisions have finished their drafts, and our 24-player season is about to start its first week. And there's a whole bunch of rosters we got to tear to bits. We got to take them apart piece by piece, take a look at what's all going on in here, and what's good, what's bad, what's ugly. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a, what's the term for it? God, I'm blanking. A tier list. I don't think I'm going to make a tier list for these teams necessarily, but it's definitely something I might do if I just get around to it. Where is this one? Now I do have, let's make a duplicate of this. One second, I'm just pulling up an extra spreadsheet that I can use for some behind the scenes info. Here we go. We'll use this later, and we also have our OTLshowdown.com, our private server. Not really private, but our specific server for this league. Better to Cube 3. Cube:3. Yeah. Right. I got my sidetrack. I got sidetracked. So yeah, I'm gonna go through the rosters one by one. I may or may not have a guest come by to talk about stuff, depending on if people harass me or not. but I'm feeling in a mood to talk, and oh boy, am I gonna talk. I have a lot of hot takes, I have a lot of opinions, and I have a lot of advice, I would say, for some of the new players this season, just based on kind of what I pieced together while playing this format and drafting this format. So, without further ado, let me do a quick review of what the cube format is. Let me just zoom in on this a bit. So, the biggest thing about the cube format is that there's a very limited roster of Pokemon legal. There is, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So there's 6 times 14 Pokemon illegal. And there are only 6 players in the division, and each player must have exactly 10 Pokemon on the roster. So basically there is like 24 extra Pokemon. There's 84 total, I believe. And there's only 60 of them that actually get drafted. It's a very small format. Not a lot of things are legal. And there's also a lot of competition because of that for individual picks. Now, granted, it's a smaller division size with only 6 players. Normally, in a lot of draft formats, you have 16 or 8 people in a division, somewhere in that range. And so much smaller division sizes, much smaller roster. And it's supposed to operate very similar to a Magic the Gathering cube, where you have a preset collection of cards and Pokemon legal, and you have to pick from only those and try to piece together what is actually in the format. Also, notably, yeah, we're talking Pokemons. A big important thing in this cube as well is that several Pokemon, almost all Pokemon, have some notable moveset cuts. So, only 8 Pokemon have access to any hazards. Only 8 Pokemon have access to any real removal. There's only 1 Scald user, only 1 Toxic user, only 1 Heavy Duty Boots user, and only 3 Violet users. And basically, this puts a bunch of artificial pressure on these specific Pokemon to excel in the niche of setting hazards or removing or doing that. And it also eliminates some moves that have become kind of ubiquitous with unfun gameplay, such as spamming Scald and fishing for burns, clicking Toxics on like every defensive Pokemon, or just spamming Heavy Duty Boots so you can ignore hazards. So a lot of these restrictions are here for gameplay diversity reasons, as well as personal preference by the creators of the format. So that is also pretty important to note about the format, is that it's very, very restrictive move legalities for a lot of important Pokemon. And so, like, for example, if you look at this roster, you know, there's a lot of low-tier heroes here, but some of them are disgustingly nerfed from what they might expect, like Fortress. Fortress, known defensive hazard utility, do-it-all mon. However, it has no hazards, no spin, and no toxic. So it is completely gutted of what it might normally be doing. That said, there's still a bunch of stuff that Fortress can do. In fact, it even got drafted, which I thought was funny. So there's still stuff it can do. It still has a niche in the format. It's just not the do everything man like it is, like it could have been in such a format. And there's a bunch of other notable inclusions to that rule. And so, yeah, I'll kind of go through individual picks as it comes up on specific teams. But generally speaking, if it's not in the removal or hazard section, it probably is lacking a lot of utility it would normally have. So, very, very important to keep in mind going into this. We have 4 cubes that they're roughly based on skill division, but only for player experience and player enjoyment purposes. It's not like we're intentionally saying, Cube 1 is the tryhards and Cube 2 is for, like, the casuals. The reason the divisions are slightly divided based on player skill level is so that each cube feels relatively fun for all the players involved. There's definitely some players that are veterans of the season of Pokemon Showdown around here that we don't want to just have some people who are, like, here to have a good time and here to have fun and here to, you know, learn the game. We don't want to put them up against Thanos on their first week. So there's four cubes. They're roughly divided based on quote-unquote player skill, but that's not really the real reason why. It's mostly for they're divided so each player feels like they are up against people they want to play against. Or people they don't want to play against, maybe. So, yeah, 4 cubes. They don't have names or anything. I gotta harass the mods about, we need funny nicknames for the 4 cubes. You know, like, X, Y, Z, and time. Or, you know, like the 4 dimensions. Make the Tesseract dimensions or something. But anyways, those are the 4 cubes. Our players in, each cube. In Cube 1, we have Overmat, Polito Shark, Azzy, myself, Jortson, Goater12, and Gensuzu. If any of you recognize these names, pretty much all these players have been in the NBA All-Stars division. So, very, very relevant list of names here for anyone who follows the NBA seasons and divisions. Because all of these players have been in All-Star regularly. Not to toot my own horn or anything. In Cube 2, we have Dorky, we have Ryan, we have Kilika, Lazy Peasy, Eager, and C2. Notably, Dorky is a very well experienced player who has frequently gone toe-to-toe with a lot of the players in Cube 1 and done well for himself. Ryan is the winner of the NHL season, Gen 5 season. 2 of my mentors in Cube 1 rooting for you guys. Thank you. So very similar to, I would say, the hustle power level from the NBA divisions. Lazy Peasy and Eager, and C2 as well, being experienced in that crew. In Cube 3, we have Lethal Blue, Luke Nukem, Stormtide, Drix, Bobozab, and NN+. Notably, we have both Lucases. I believe Luke Nukem and NN+ are both Lucas's IRL, not to dox them or anything. But they've had a bit of a historic, heated rivalry, fighting for the role of best Lucas. So, Cube 3 definitely has some heated rivalries going on in there. Drix and Bobozab also having a fair bit of experience playing with each other and against each other. So exciting to see the Lucas Cup. Yeah, Lucas Cup. And then Cube 4, we have Raging Rex, Anthot. There's got to be a different way to pronounce it. I'm missing that. We have Tilted Tony, Super Hot Thunder, OM Cheesy, and Lilia. Notably, Supa and Lilia are 2 players that I have personally mentored in the past, so I'm rooting for both of them. OM Cheesy is our resident homeboy. We love OM Cheesy around here. And I believe Anthot and Rex are relatively new to our league. So I'm excited to see what they think of this format and how it treats them. And Tilted Tony, also one of the homies around here. So yeah, our cubes, I think, are all very well balanced amongst themselves in terms of player skill level. But I also would not say by any means that a player in Cube 4 could not beat a player in Cube 1 on a good day of the week. So they're both on the Psyducks. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, in the NHL. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, so very excited to see our 4 cubes here. Notably, for the regular season, you will play each other person in your cube once. It's a complete round robin bracket. And I know they mentioned something about the playoffs format, but I haven't bothered to read it. I know most people probably also haven't bothered to read it, so I'll worry about that later. But yeah, for the format, you will play each player in your cube once, and then you will be cut to playoffs. And let me just see if there's anything else here. It's just the draft data. These are the standings. There's no standings yet. And if there's anything else I'm missing. Oh, I forgot to mention. We talked about this at the end of the last stream about this cube. The Smo Cube page has had a whole bunch of additions to it, thanks to an absolute stellar job by C2, writing up countless descriptions of a lot of Pokemon in the cube, giving very detailed descriptions about what they have access to, what they don't have access to, and partners that you think they should and should not go with. So big shoutouts to C2 for the hard work they put into this. There's a bunch of Pokemon on here you can go read about. Yeah, absolute stellar performance in terms of getting this together. So, and then anything else I wanted to mention here? There's a couple other restrictions that we forgot to mention, but notably, you can't use any gimmicks outside of Mega Evolution. There's no Terra, there's no Z moves, there's none of that. There's no Dynamax. Hidden Power is banned, as well as a couple notable universally banned moves, such as Baton. You can't Baton Pass stats. You can't Revival Blessing. You can't Shed Tail. There's Sleep Clause in effect. All the standard draft clauses more or less apply. And like I mentioned earlier, hazards, removal, Toxic Scald Boots, and Eviolite are all heavily restricted. If you don't say that you have access to it on this page, if it says that you don't have access to it here, you are not allowed to use it. Also, Sticky Web, I believe, is universally banned. There's no Sticky Web users legal, which was an intentional design decision to maintain the speed control as it was designed for the cube. Anything else I'm missing that's really important here? I don't think so. That's pretty much everything. If you guys do have questions about the cube format, I'll do my best to answer them. There are some stuff I don't actually have the inside scoop on, because I intentionally left it to Lucas and Kilika to create the cube the way they wanted, because I knew if I got involved, I was going to be highly opinionated and just grind the whole thing down to a halt. So there's only so much I can actually comment on, because I intentionally turned a blind eye to some of the decisions behind the scenes. So I do apologize for that in advance. With that said, I'm just going to get right into roster reviews. I'm hoping I can get this whole 24 rosters reviewed within 2 hours. Obviously, there's no real guarantees on that, but you never know. Let me just also zoom out a bit here. So something really interesting here about the trainer card. This is your main information. Fix the injustice. Why no Wo-Chen? Dude, Wo-Chen in this type of format would just invalidate so many teams, honestly. I think it's kind of a good thing it's not legal. It would just make so many teams look so silly. It would just sit on its big Wo-Chen ass and click leech seed all day. So notably, about the trainer card here, there's a lot of stats that we are tracking this season. Not just player performance, but also individual Pokemon performance, as well as individual Pokemon pick priority. So notably, just looking at the Pokemon on the sidebar here, you can see that Lokix was on average picked second or a second and a half. And this is numbered on the total number, so it's like 1 to 60 picks. So Lokix was on average picked like first, second, third throughout the entire draft. You can also see that Tropius was picked on average 59th, so last or second to last, pretty much on average. So very interesting to see kind of a lot of the stats here. We're also going to be tracking if Pokemon get picked up, if they get dropped, and what all happens in that regard as well. And the draft regularity is how often in each division it got drafted. So Tropius notably only got drafted in 2 divisions. It has a 0.5 pick percentage. So very, very interesting. Swanna we see here on Polito Shark's roster. We'll get to that later. Only picked by Shark. No one else thought to pick up Swanna. So very interesting to see how that all shakes out. But our first roster here is Mr. Overmat, and I'm mildly in the way of the bottom of this page. Let me see. There we go. Big things about Overmat here. He had the first pick in the Cube 1, and first picked Lokix, which I think a lot of people were very high on at the start of the season, at the start of draft, as being one of the most powerful Pokemon legal, because low kicks is infamous for doing really well in higher power level formats. It's been a menace in OU and UU throughout its lifetime. And if you compare it to the average Pokemon in this format, they're like NU and RU at best. And so low kicks is kind of just a huge power outlier in that regard. And so a lot of people rated it very highly for that reason. Now, granted, low kicks doesn't have access to boots. And because of the way that Hazard's Wars work, it is a rock week that can be a liability. So there is more to the game than, oh, low kicks is the most broken thing, so obviously you should first pick it. But that said, it is going to be a very strong threat this season, and if you are not prepared for it, it will just steamroll your team. And that was basically Matt's entire philosophy throughout the draft, was I'm just going to take the thing that is the most broken, by his definition, of course, and make my opponents deal with it. He drafted only a singular removal mon, being his last pick, Tropius, literally last pick of this division. As being the first player, he got his 10th pick on the return back. So, literal last pick of the season for Cube 1 was Tropius. And there's a very glaring weakness here, which is that he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Rock Weak Pokemon. His only removal is also weak to Rock, and he has no access to boots. There is no heavy-duty boots allowed here. And so Matt has basically admitted publicly in the the post-team, the season discussion channels. He's basically said, "Yeah, I'm going to kill you before you can set rocks." So it's gonna be very interesting to see how that actually plays out in practice. Because cough cough, focus sash exists. I don't know if you know this, but there's an entire metagame called Generation 4 OU. Pokemon Platinum, Diamond, and Pearl was all about lead, having suicide leads that did nothing but set rocks. And so, with no access to removal outside of Tropius, which I'm gonna be real, if Tropius comes to a single game this season, I will eat a shoe or something. I don't think Matt is gonna bring Tropius a single time. I'm so for real on that. So yeah, obviously, I don't think Matt has ever played Generation 4. So he could just be being ignorant to this and being having ignorance is bliss moment. But he also is, I would argue, probably the most accomplished player in the entire OTL right now. And so there's some merit to his whole gambit of, well, I'm gonna kill you before you can set hazards, because he definitely has the player experience to back it up. And if we look to the rest of his team, he does have some pretty good speed tiers, which is a little bit of a standout. Oh my god, please go away. How do I get rid of this? Disable, there we go. Bam, get rid of that garbage. He does have notably pretty good speed tiers for this format, which is definitely not something we always see from Matt. Matt is notorious in other leagues for drafting very slow teams, for ignoring speed tiers, and just generally saying, I don't need speed. I don't need speed. Cough, cough. So to see that he has pretty good high speed tiers, with Archeops being 110, being one of the faster speed tiers in this format, with the fastest thing in the format is Rabombi, so 110 is pretty fast. This guy has 8 breakers and a fortress. Yeah, exactly. Granted, I don't really think that Tentacruel is a breaker per se. It's more of a offensive bulky pivot. Notably, Tentacruel is a mon that is extremely nerfed by the cube bans. Tentacruel does not have access to Scald, Rapid Spin, Toxic, or Toxic Spikes. So it is missing a large portion of its usual repertoire. And so it's going to be very interesting to see what Matt actually does with what Tentacruel does have access to. It can still run some of its classic sets, like Assault Vest knockoff Flip Turn. But without the ability to really spread status the way it normally does, it's going to be a lot less effective at kind of crippling teams through the use of status. But he does have some of the most dangerous physical attackers in the format. Low Kicks, Archeops, and Beware being notable nukes offensively. Archeops having 140 attack, and I think like a very similar special attack set. Let me pull up Archeops real quick. I even had it open. Yeah, 140 physical attack, and the ability to run a choice band, a choice scarf, you name it. Notably, heavy duty boots is not legal on it, so it is extremely hampered by hazards. But yeah, so very, very important notice there that Archeops does not have access to boots, but does have 140 attack, which I think is one of the biggest attack stats in this entire format. Low Kicks obviously having Tinted Lens plus very spammable Dark and Bug moves. And Beware, what is Beware's attack stat actually? I know it's pretty high, but 125 attack stat, but with Fluffy making it a physical tank powerhouse as well, and 120 HP is nothing to scoff at. Those three making up a very strong physical offensive core. He's got two very interesting special breakers, Delphox and Dragalge, having really good special attack options. And utility options as well. Notably, Delphox being a Wish user, which is pretty rare in this format, as well as having a lot of utility Psychic type, Will-O-Wisp, Prick, Trick Room type of options. And Dragalge just having a lot of special defense, adaptability with two very strong stab options, and pivoting with Flip Turn as well. Notably, Dragalge does not have access to Toxic Spikes as well, which is a notable thing to keep in mind when landing around it. No Toxic Spikes. It can absorb Toxic Spikes as a grounded poison type. It can absorb Toxic Spikes, but it cannot set them. And then two very interesting, I would say like utility, like not really mixed attackers, but they're kind of like a mix between a defensive and an offensive mon. Rotom and Decidueye. Decidueye also does not have access to Defog, but it does have really powerful mixed attacking stats. I believe it has like 100 in both attacking stats. Decidueye having a reasonably high attack stat, pretty good special attack stat. It's got lots of utility moves like Knockoff and U-Turn, I believe. Knockoff, U-Turn, Sucker Punch, Shadow Sneak, Spirit Shackle being its signature move that can trap people. Very, very fun move. Leaf Blade is pretty high power. It's got reasonable coverage, and it also has special coverage, having like Leaf Storm, Shadow Ball, X, not as exploitable, but Hurricane too. So it can also run special. So being like a very interesting mixed attacker. It's got Roost, so it can be bulky if it needs to be. And then Rotom Frost being probably the least favorite of all Rotom forms. Also being a special attacker with a lot of utility options like Will-O-Wisp, Pain Split. No Defog. Defog is not legal on it. But it still has Bolt Beam coverage, the godly Bolt Beam coverage, as long as you can hit your Blizzards. So, yeah. And then, like I mentioned earlier, Matt took a very late Fortress. And the biggest thing this has going for it is that it is arguably the best user of Iron Defense Body Press. Having 140 base defense, body press, and it has a lot of fun utility attacks. Like it has Volt Switch, gets Steel Beam to act as like a pseudo suicide option. But its status moves are relatively hampered, having no access to the 3 hazards it normally runs, no Toxic, meaning it can't actually pressure a lot of other defensive things. So it's kind of going to be more of like a screen setter. It gets Light Screen Reflect, it gets T-Wave. So imagine landing Blizzards, exactly. Yeah. So that's Matt's team. Very, very offensive leaning. Basically said, I'm going to punch you in the face. And what are hazards? I don't know what those are. And it's very interesting to see how it plays out for him, because I have a very opposite philosophy to that, as I'll see when I get to my roster. But yeah, very, very matte coded of I'm going to ignore type chart. I'm going to ignore utility bullshit. I am just going to draft the best Pokemon, or the best statted Pokemon at every point in the format. But he's got 5 Rock Weak Bonds. Like, I don't know what to say. I think that speaks for itself. So, up next, we have Polito Shark. Polito Shark, being one of our homies around here, who is a great player, but also one of the greatest shit posters, I would say, in our little draft divisions here. Polito Shark came out the gates running with a first pick Salazzle. Salazzle is, I believe, the second fastest thing in the format. I think earlier I had told a buddy that Salazzle was a point slower than Whimsicott, but I was actually wrong. Salazzle is 117, and Whimsicott, I believe, is the next fastest thing at 116. And if you see here, he also has Ribombee being the first fastest thing in the format. So, Shark here has basically just taken all of the fast Pokemon. Even Swanna and Silvally have very respectable 98, 95 speed tiers. I was actually looking at the speed tiers earlier, and the fact that Swanna hits 98 puts it in front of a lot of very important Pokemon in the format. Pretty important distinction there. That 98 speed tier is actually very, very good in this format, especially with how few actual 100 base speed Pokemon there are. There's not as many in this format. And Ribombee, notably, does not have access to Defog, does not have access to Sticky Web, but it still has a lot of utility moves like Stun Spore. It's got Pivoting with U-Turn, and it's also a Quiver Dance Sweeper. Yeah, it's actually a huge threat in this format, being the fastest thing in the format and having speed boosting with Quiver Dance. So very interesting to see what exactly Ribombee will do this format. For hazards, Shark did pick up Golisopod. Golisopod does have access to spikes. It doesn't have access to rocks. It doesn't have access to T-spikes, but it does have access to regular old spikes. So good old Generation 2 and 3 style gameplay of just set spikes. He's also got a very good spinner in, what's it called? Claydol. Yeah, also no boots. Also no boots on Golisopod, which is pretty important because its ability has a huge, its innate ability is a huge downside. But yeah, so he has a spinner and he has a setter. Claydol, I think, is arguably the best spinner in the format, solely because it is it's levitate, so it's immune to spikes and T-spikes, and it resists rocks. So it is very good at not giving a care about switching into hazards or to being up. So very, very important for Claydol being his spinner. And it makes sense that he wanted a good spinner because his first pick was very rock weak. And then he followed up with some very solid picks. He has Double Steel, he has Magneton and Duraludon. Duraludon notably does not have access to Eviolite. But I have always thought that Duraludon was a pretty reasonable Pokemon, a pretty reasonable low tier to pick, even before it got access to Eviolite in Generation 9. And so I think this is going to do a lot of work this season. It also doesn't have access to rocks. It's not going to need it. It has lots of special attacks. It can run Iron Defense, Body Press, I'm pretty sure. And even its physical attacking options are not the worst. So, very dangerous Dialga Light in this format. Ribombee, obviously we talked about. I've glazed Duraludon before. Get off me, bro. I've actually said that Duraludon is not the worst. I just people have definitely slept on it in the past. And it can still run Assault Vest very well, which is honestly part of the reason it likes to run Eviolite so much. You like it as a rock setter. It is not a rock setter in this format, which is an interesting decision, but I don't think it needs to be. I think it has very good options. It's just special attacking. It can run Choice Specs and Scarf super well. And it's got defensive sets too. It has a very high defense stat. Yeah, exactly. It was a fun Scarfer. Rabombi we talked about. It's the fastest thing alive. Gotta go fast. Magneton is very interesting here. I don't think that this team struggles with opposing steel types. But I'm pretty sure he primarily took this to prevent some other players from getting access to a better steel type. I think when he took this Magneton, it was to prevent Matt from getting access to a better steel type than Fortress, and also there's a notable lack of ground type. There is no ground type on Matt's roster. And Matt is his first week matchup, and we knew what the matchups were the team like going in. Yeah, the two of them together is pretty insane, I will say. But notably, if you don't have a ground type, this thing is free to click Volt Switch all day. And like, if you look at Matt's roster, like nothing on this team really wants to switch into a Volt Switch. Maybe you could argue that Dragalge does, but like then he's just gonna go into like an offensive threat to put pressure it out. So I think that the Magneton pickup was a huge heads up play in terms of draft picks. We'll see how it plays out. Swanna, I've talked about briefly. I think it has a pretty reasonable speed tier. It's not actually that bad here. It's going to put in work. Silvally. Silvally is locked into being Silvally Rock. It has to be holding the rock memory. Which is a very interesting way of making Silvally not broken. The biggest issue with Silvally in draft is that very rarely does anyone put a restriction on it about what types you can or can't run, or if you have to tell people what types you're running. And so I'm a big fan of the fact that it's legal, but only rock type. Which will be really interesting to see how it plays out. Obviously, like it's an okay defensive typing, but not great by any means. The thing that I'm excited about, though, is that Silvally Rock gets to click multi-attack Rock. I think multi-attack Rock is going to put in so much work this season, and I'm very interested to see what exactly Polito Shark does with it. If it comes at all, it might be that he has better things to do. Like his first 6 look up like a pretty solid 6 to bring into most things in this format, but I think Silvally Rock is a sleeper pick, and I'm really interested to see what it does. And then his last 2 picks were double ice type. I like the Sneasel pick. I don't agree with the Glaceon pick. Like he doesn't really need the medium speed tier it brings. Like if anything, he needs like a slow mon to punish Trick Room users. So it's kind of in an awkward speed tier for him. That's it. Wait, was it 95, 85, 75? He's almost got like every distribution of 5 covered, which is kind of crazy. But Glaceon was kind of a late pick. His last pick. Glaceon is almost real. I just don't think it's what the team needed. And the reason I say that is because if you look at the type chart, he has a pretty nasty rock weakness as well. Granted, he does have 3 very good rock resists, having double steel and Plate All being a spinner ground type, notably. Type charts aren't real. Type charts aren't real. They can't hurt you. Type charts aren't real. They can't hurt you. So, yeah, I like Sneasel. I don't really agree with Glaceon. Glaceon is, though, one of the few wish passers in the format, so that might be part of the reason he picked it up. And yeah, overall, I think the first 8 are amazing. The 2 ice types are kind of, I'm a little bit questioning what exactly the decision was. But we'll see how it plays out. I'm very interested to see what happens. And yeah, definitely rocking the I'm just gonna have I'm gonna be the fastest thing alive type of strategy, having all of the high speed tiers with the exception of Whimsicott, I think. I think the speed chart goes Rabombi, Salazzle, Whimsicott, and Sneasel. And there's a couple below Sneasel, but that's relatively how it goes. In our third position here in Cube 1, we have Azzy. Azzy first picked Pawmot, which also in contention for one of the best Pokemon in the format. It has really nasty dual stab. It gets Ice Punch coverage to have that Bolt Beam. Duo. Who's the shitter? Yeah, who is the shitter? Where they don't even have an icon, you know? Look at this. Look at this clown. Like, Play-Doh Shark's out here with the champion Cynthia drip, and we got some clown over here with question mark, you know? But yeah, first pick Palmot. Arguably one of the best things in the format. Palmot was also, on average, picked in the first round of picks. You can't see it because of this little thing here. On average was the 5th and a quarter pick. So very highly picked throughout all the formats. It was also really picked in every format. Let me just scroll over quick. No. This one. Yeah, it was picked in every division. Not surprising to see. So, very, very strong pick here. Also having a pseudo-electric immunity ability, which is also super awesome in this format. As he followed that up with a rock setter, Piloswine. Piloswine has rocks, but not a Violite. And so that means that it's not as like unbelievably bulky as it is in other formats. However, it still has very respectable bulk for this format's purposes. Having 100 base HP and usable defense and special defense with that high HP stat. So more likely than not, it's actually been running like leftovers or choice like damage boosting items. It does have 50 speed, which could be used with a choice scarf if you want to get really crazy. And its biggest draw is Earthquake plus Ice coverage, being really nasty offensive utility. Plus a bunch of other really cool coverage moves like does it get knockoff? Or does it only get knockoff when it evolves? Oh, it doesn't get knockoff. Interesting. I've run Scarf Swine before. Why does bro have 5 electric immunities? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's crazy. 5. He does have 5 electric immunities. Wait. Shark. Oh, let me go over Shark. I'm Shark. I'm fast as fuck, boy. That's the Shark review. There we go. He's got all the speed tiers on the Shark roster. Yeah, he's got 5 electric immunities, which is crazy work. I don't even think he has that many electric weak. His only electric weak is Sigilif. So, like, will be walling Magneton. I refuse to lose to other electrics. However, notably, Ozzy's also kind of got a monopoly on electric types. We looked at Matt's roster earlier, and there is no electric immune on here. There's barely, like, the electric resists are not even that great, right? Like, electric types chew through this team. And so Ozzy having kind of like a monopoly on strong electric types with both 2 different Volt Absorb attackers puts a lot of pressure on teams like this. To say, okay, your electric resists are going to get worn down and then I'm going to win the game. So, very interesting to see here. Ozzy has hazards with Stunfisk Galar. Stunfisk Galar does not have Toxic. And it has very poor attacking stats. So it's going to be interesting to see what it can accomplish this season. But being one of the few rockers in this format is very important to its viability. And then having a remover... Wait, no, I don't think he does have a remover. No, he's only got hazards. Ozzy does not have actual hazard removal. Only has rocks. Pop-up Stunfisk. Dude, I know for a fact that you were calling this song like the worst thing known to man before picking it. You only took it out of necessity. Don't even pretend like you weren't roasting this thing alive. But yeah, Ozzy's also got a Firewater Grass core that they were pretty excited about with Serena, Marowak, and Lantern. And they do have a Fairy, a Dragon, and a Steel. So they do have their type cores. They're following their bread and butter draft basics here. And Sigilif, I think, is also one of the most dangerous Pokemon in the format. I was kind of like, at the start of this season, I was interested in playing with it, but during draft day, my team was not really leaning towards what it wants to do. So to see it on Ozzy's roster is very scary. I feel like it's going to put in a lot of work this season. It has both access to Tinted Lens and Psychic Spam, as well as Magic Guard and a bunch of utility sets. So both defensively and offensively, very dangerous Pokemon. And then Serena here is mostly a physical attacker. It does not have access to Spin. It does have access to Recovery and Aromatherapy, so it can be a Pseudo Cleric. But it has like 120 attack and really good coverage moves. Pull up Serena here. So notably, people draft this as a Grass-type Spinner. But because Spin is not legal on it, it's going to be doing a lot more of the just-click attack moves option. High jump kick, play rough, triple axle, U-turn, pretty spammable grass type moves too. So I expect this thing to actually be a pretty solid pick. It has an ability that makes it immune to priority, which is kind of whatever, but yeah, it's probably going to put in work. Marowak Alola is arguably one of the strongest things in the format. I believe because of Thick Club, it has 80 attack doubled, which is like close to 200 base attack or something because of how Burning Adamant plus Thick Club works. Yeah, attack is doubled by Marowak. And also having an electric immunity ability for no reason. Realistically though, you're definitely running Rockhead, Flare Blitz. Like this is arguably, I think this is like one of the strongest physical moves in the format. Rockhead, Flare Blitz for Marowak with Thick Club. So very, very dangerous Pokemon that you have to respect. The one thing I don't like about his team, though, is that he has Marowak Alola, and I don't think he has a Trick Room setter. Which is normally how it's used in other formats. So it's going to be kind of awkward to see how its speed tier works out in practice here. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I missed. The last pick was Pangoro. I don't think Pangoro is that bad. I think Pangoro is very dangerous in the format. However, when I was looking at drafting it, I was pretty upset because its speed tier is even worse than I thought. I thought it was like 60 speed. It is 58. It is a lot slower than I originally expected when I was looking into this mon, like, tech-wise. Mimikyu gets Trick Room. Oh, true. It does get Trick Room. Okay, he does have a Trick Room setter. It's actually, Mimikyu is probably one of the best Trick Room setters in the format. So, that's fair. That's fair. Forgot about that. But yeah, so when I was looking at Pangoro, I was pretty upset because this thing does not get a speed tier that I would be happy about. He has Yellow Magic Wizard. Yellow Magic Wizard with Druddigon. True, true. Druddigon having Glare. Yeah, the Glare Wizard, Druddigon. Druddigon also, I think, is a very slept-on dragon type in this format. It has two very obnoxious abilities. Three, actually. Mold Breaker lets it ignore, like, Levitate. I think it gets Earthquake. Yeah, so it can Mold Breaker Earthquake through a lot of the Levitate mons. Sheer Force obviously works with, like, Gunk Shot. You can have a very powerful Gunk Shot here. I think it also has... There's, like, one or two other moves it has that are boosted. Crunch counts. This thing having Dual Wing Beat is so silly. Fire Punch gets boosted by Sheer Force. Rock Slide gets boosted by Sheer Force. Thunder Punch. So it has some good Sheer Force moves. Not as many as I would ideally expect, but definitely not a worthless number. And then Rough Skin is just like, it's the Garchomp chip special, you know, like Ironbarbs.exe go burr. You can run Rocky Helmet on it. It can be a physical tank. Notably though, this thing does not have access to Stealth Rock. Stealth Rock is banned on it. No Toxic, excuse me, either. And this is one of the few dragon types that does not get Dragon Dance. Druddigon, he is very self-conscious and does not want to dance at the ball. So, our poor homeboy has got he's got two left feet. He does not want to dance at the ball. So yeah, so I think Azzy's team is very good. It's actually very well rounded. However, it is missing removal, and it has two very important. It has a very important rock weakness, which is Marowak. Endure Druddigon. Endure Helmet Druddigon. That's awesome. That's a sick set. And also no grounded poison on this team, so this team is mildly weak to toxic spikes as well. So Azzy's team does have a couple of notable flaws, but I think it's very well rounded, and I think the monopoly on electric types I think is going to be really important in some of their matchups. Up next is my own roster. I'm probably going to keep my description short. I say that now, but it's going to go way longer. I went into this draft with a polar opposite philosophy to how Matt drafted, which was I am going to monopolize the hazard and removal setters, and I'm going to encourage other people in the draft to do the same. I first picked 2 hazard setters in Mawile and Cofagrigus, and I actively encouraged people saying, hey, by the way, there's only 4 hazard setters left, and if you don't take one, there's going to be none left. Only 1 T-Spike set? No, there's 2. Rosalia gets T-Spikes. I believe Rosalia got drafted. Yeah, Rosalia did get drafted. We know it's bad. Next roster? Fair. You know what? Let's talk about Goater. So Goater first picked Mewath, the Gardevoir, which is a really good first pick in this format. It's a strong special attacker. It has a lot of utility, and it has Wish. It has Wish and Healing Wish, a lot of support moves that are just non-existent in this format for the most part. So Gardevoir was the first pick. Follow that up with Copper-Raja. Copper-Raja was, from what I understand how Mike was drafting, a panic pick. He saw that I had first picked Mawile and that there was a couple other steel types that got taken. I believe, actually, no, wait. I took Mawile and Gensuzu took Revavroom. And he did not want to have it go all the way forward and back before he got a steel type, so he took Copper-Raja really early as an early steel type. That said, I'm a huge Copper-Raja fan. I've used this mon in higher power level formats. I think it's a really good pick. But I was personally a little bit mad because I was encouraging people to draft rockers, and he did not pick a rocker. And I was like, oh, guy, you're not following the cues. But yeah, Copper-Raja, a huge threat in this format. It has sheer force. It has a lot of moves to abuse sheer force with too, notably. It does learn rocks. It cannot click them in this format, so it is not actually a rocker in this format. His third pick was a rocker, though. Cradily is one of the few things that has access to Stealth Rock. And I honestly think Cradily is a really good Pokemon. It just really struggles in higher power level formats because it's just missing a little bit of stats. Its grass rock typing is actually not the worst. It's a better defensive typing than you might expect. It has a lot of neutral resistances. And the fact that it has access to Storm Drain really covers up that water type neutrality, which could be more harmful to it. It's got pretty good bulk. It's got 81 in both attacking stats, so it can run that a little bit of offensive investment to have those rock ground coverage, the grass stabs actually do work. And it's got a bunch of very annoying grass type moves. Leech Seed, Synthesis. It does not actually have any of the powder moves, and it also cannot click Toxic. So that is a notable removal from its usual repertoire. But with Recover and Leech Seed, it can be a giant pain in the ass to kill. And it has really good physical and special options. It has Earthquake and Rock moves for the Faded Edgequake combo. It has pretty strong grass moves, Power Whip. And its special coverage is also nothing to slouch at. Earth Power, Grass moves, Sludge Bomb. Ooh, Meteor Beam. Ooh, okay, wait, that's kind of heat. Defensive Meteor Beam set might be cool. So definitely not something to sleep on. I'm a big Cradily fan. It definitely can struggle in higher power level formats because so many things can just punch through its average bulk a lot more easily in higher power level formats. But in this format, I think it's a godsend. He also took Quagsire, Quagsire being a fan favorite of Gotor's. Quagsire is missing almost all of its usual repertoire that you might expect from Generation 9. Because if we look at its status moves, it does not have access to any hazards. No Stealth Rock, no Spikes, no Toxic Spikes, and no Toxic. Toxic is also banned on it. So you're going to have to be a little bit more creative with how you actually use Quagsire to make progress against a team. You can't just click Toxic and recover all day and like win the game for free. Curse is a huge option. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, Curse is definitely an option on it. And it's got a bunch of really interesting status moves, but the big four, Toxic and the 3 hazards, not legal to use in this format on it. And yeah, so it's gonna be interesting what you see to do it. Obviously, it is an unaware abuser, which is really, really rare in this format. Very few things have access to unaware in this format. And it also has water absorb. And being a water immunity is pretty important to some of the more dangerous water attackers in this format. Beluza comes to mind as a Pokemon in this format that will just shred through teams if you are not careful. So I'm a big fan of it as a water absorb mon as well. And then he has the husband-wife duo of Gallade and Gardevoir. Stay back, princess. Type shit. Gallade also is, I think, one of the strongest attackers, physical attackers in this format. Gallade, it has 125 attack, but with the new addition of Sharpness, this thing hits like an absolute truck. And it has access to Swords Dance, it has access to Agility now. So it has dual dance options. It's got crazy coverage moves. Water, grass, fire, electric, poison. It's got the whole 9 yards. Shadow Claw, I believe, is now a cutting move. Like, this thing is basically always going to have the right coverage to kill you. And with Sharpness, it's got the damage to boost to back it up. So, very, very dangerous attacker. It's also got very good status move options. Destiny Bond, Dual Screens, Trick, Taunt, Will-O-Wisp, Thunderwave. It does not have access to Toxic, but honestly, that is like the least useful of its statuses. I think Will-O-Wisp and Thunderwave are way more important as status moves on it. So, very, very interesting option here. And honestly, surprised it went so late in this format, in this division. If we look at Gallade here real quick, I guess I only went 30th on average. Okay. How many times did it get drafted? Okay, it did get drafted in every division. Okay. Yeah, Sharpness makes it hit so hard. Gotor does have removal. He has Defog on Illumise. Notably, though, it does not have boots, so it is going to have to tank the rocks if it switches in on them, or tank the T-Spikes and then remove them. But Prankster Defog, very, very important. Free Choice Band, and it can hold Choice Band. Yeah, exactly. He's got Gligar's a Violightmon. And, yeah, and he intentionally took Tyrantrum because he knew I wanted it, which I thought was really funny. So he did kind of hate pick Tyrantrum from me. He took Heliolisk as an electric type. Probably seeing that a lot of these teams had very poor electric resists. And yeah, overall, very well balanced roster. He's got the husband-wife duo. He's got very good defensive options and some very dangerous physical and special attackers. Honestly, these two, I think, is all you need to know about how stacked this team is offensively. Two of the best physical and special attackers, respectively, and then other options to back it up. The speed tiers are a little bit clumped. Lots of 85s and 80s, and only real fast thing is Heliolisk, but Heliolisk is more than enough to do the job, I think, for your top-end speed tier. So I think it won't have too many problems in that regard. And, like, no huge type weaknesses. He does have a water immunity. He has 2 water immunities, actually. So even though it says there's no water resist here, there's 2 immunities that kind of get around that. And then finally, the the anchor pick, my anchor chain, Gensuzu. Gensuzu was the wheel pick, and his first 2 picks was the desert is killing my connection. Rip. He took first pick Revavroom and Altaria. Altaria being one of the few defoggers in the format, and Revavroom having a very dangerous setup combination, being a poison steel type that destroys fairy types. It has filter to reduce the damage from super effective moves like fire moves. Altaria is dog butts, only fools drafted. Oh, okay. Okay, that gets added to the not a real mon counter, I think. Where are we on that? Yeah, we should probably give this like 2 or 3 increases. Let's put this at like 15 at this point. Altaria is not only fools drafted, I see. But yeah, having almost 120 attack, having shift gear, a very nasty setup move, and generally speaking, pretty good attacking options with Gunk Shot, Iron Head, and some coverage moves as well. High horsepower. Revavroom also gets Parting Shot and some annoying utility moves. It does not have access to T-Spikes, so do keep that in mind. It's not actually a T-Spike setter. But Gensuzu did draft a different T-Spike setter, which is he took Rosalia. Rosalia does have access to spikes and T-Spikes, which should be mentioned on here, but isn't. Mods! Actually, you forgot something. Rosalia notably has access to both Violite and Hazards. And it and Garbodor are the 2 setters that can set both spikes and toxic spikes. So very important distinction there. He also took a second removal mon very early in Morpeko. Having Spin to back up Altaria means that Altaria does not have to be the defog user a lot of the time. Morpeko isn't real? Okay, wait. That one I have beef with. Morpeko is very real in this format, but I'm adding that to the counter, bro. That's an addition to the counter. Morpeko is actually a huge threat in this format, I think. Especially as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of teams with very poor electric resists. And very poor dark resist also. But no electric resist or immunity on Matt's team is going to make Morpeko put in a ton of work. It's real, just very bad. Dang, okay, poor Morpeko. Poor Morpeko, you know, they're getting all this Twitter beef and, you know, they didn't sign up for it. But Gensuzu does have some other very dangerous threats. Being, I think, probably the strongest water type in the format, Veluza. The fact that this thing can run Fill It Away makes it so threatening. It's basically Shell Smash. So +2 attack, special attack, and speed at half your health cost. Very dangerous mon. It has Mold Breaker to break through things like Unaware, but it's also got Sharpness and can just run like Choice Scarf or Choice Band plus cutting moves. Do we need Haima's girlfriend here to slide into the sandcastle? I'm sorry, fillet away. Oh, my bad. Actually. But yeah, getting to spam Aqua Cutter and Psycho Cut with Sharpness makes this thing very dangerous. Does it have any other cutting moves or just those 2? You probably say Foyer. I mean Foyer? Foyer? Oh, it's got Night Slash. Okay. Scale Shot's interesting. Does it get Swords Dance? Wait, you can fillet away and then Pain Split? That's hilarious. Oh, I guess Recover? Wait, what? Wait, this doesn't get Swords Dance? Okay. I did not know it had Recover. That's actually news to me. Interesting. What's its special attacking options? Because Fillet Away does give it +2 special attack. Final Gambit. Oh, there we go. There we go. That's the best thing. Here we go. This is the only set you need for this thing, right? Nope, wrong move. Wrong. Choice Scarf. Choice Scarf, Final Gambit. Let's go. Let's go gambiting. Well, yeah, with 90 HP, that's actually a lot of HP to gambit away. No, my... spoilers alert. Spoiler alert. Wee woo, wee woo. So yeah, very, very dangerous mon. Recover? What's its bulk like? This is not even bad bulk by any means. Right? Like, you could get away with running pretty bulky on this. It's just that it likes to kill itself. True, true. It does be committing fall damage in Minecraft, you know? This thing even looks like a Minecraft. It looks like someone like made a modded Minecraft character that's just got lots of points because that's how the pixels work. Yeah, Choice Band or Citrus are pretty common. Yeah, exactly. I think it gets Aqua Jet too, right? Yeah, it's got Aqua Jet. It's got priority. So it's not something to sleep on. It's got coverage moves with Drill Run, Crunch, Ice moves. Yeah, definitely I think this is arguably the best water type in the format. And then I would say Gensuzu's also got one of the most reliable ground types in the format. Palo Sand having access to recovery and a solid defensive typing, plus really usable defensive attacks like Scorching Sands, notably. Scorching Sands being the ground type Scald. That is legal, but Scald is not. Gives it a very interesting niche. He's got Pyroar as a fast special threat. Morpeko is pretty fast in this format, all things considered. And he's got the best Wish Passer in the format. Mega Audino is by far the strongest Wish Passer that is legal in this format. And he's got lots of things that would love to get their HP back. So, very interested to see what he does with Mega Audino. His last two picks, I like the concept of taking Crabominable. At 43 speed, there's a surprising number of things that it outspeeds. In fact, looking at my roster, it outspeeds like half my team. So even though it's only 43 speed, it actually has a pretty relevant speed tier. And then Driftblim has been, ever since he used it in the last NBA season, Driftblim has been, I think, one of Gensuzu's favorite Pokemon. And actually, he won the last NBA season with it, actually. Yeah, because he was the champion of NBA Season 7. So, yeah, this is definitely a signature mon for Gensuzu showing up on the end of the roster here. But yeah, that's basically the Cube 1 division. I did not go over my roster because it sucks. Quote Polito Shark. Yeah, I'll probably talk more about my roster later on. But yeah, my roster sucks. That's all that matters. And I also think this roster sucks. There's no removal. This thing is not removable. Tropius is not a real mon. I'm gonna add to the counter because I'll say that 7 times a week. Tropius sucks. Matt has no removal. He has literally 6 rock weak. His only rock resist is Beware, and he has no electric immunity. He has no electric immunity, and there's multiple teams that want to do nothing but click Volt Switch. So I think this team is going to get completely clowned on this season, and I'm excited to see what exactly he does about that. Polito Shark, bro's Sonic the Hedgehog with the speed on this team. He's got the 2 fastest things in the division. He's got the 4th fastest thing, and he's got a bunch of like moderately fast middle attackers as well. So there's that. We have Mr. Electric here. Oh, wait. Let me pull that up. This is what I think of. This is what I think of Azzy's roster. This is Azzy's roster here, Mr. Electric. There we go. This is Azzy's roster, Mr. Electric. Having 5 electric immunities and 2 electric types for no reason. My roster sucks. Goater has got the husband-wife duo. Mr. Married Man here with the husband-wife, Gallade and Gardevoir. And Gensuzu is running it back with the Driftblim. He's got his one time he won. He's gonna run that until it's in the ground. So that's Division 1. That's Cube 1. I'm gonna try and go through this next cube a bit faster. just because there's a lot of Pokemon I went out of my way to talk about. But going into Cube 2, we have Mr. Dorky Porky, who has... Ooh, I have not looked at this roster yet, but this team looks very good. It's got Ribombee. It's got the fastest thing in the format. He first picked Dragalge, which was probably a comfort pick more than anything else for him, knowing Dorky's history. And he does have a Hazard Setter. He does have Golisopod. Very early Golisopod as well, which I know is another fan favorite for Dorky as well. Notably, though, no removal. A fair bit of rock weakness. A lot of rock weakness, actually. Taking a bit of a book out of Overmat's playbook here. Having 2 bug types that are weak to rock. Pyroar and Drifblim all being weak to rocks. Very scary here for opposing hazards. But he's got 2 special nuclear dragon types. He's got some very dangerous physical attackers with Golisopod and Crabominable. I will also say Klawf is low-key, is a really interesting pick here. I'm surprised he took it so early, but Klawf has some very dangerous setup potential sets with Swords Dance and its weird signature ability. Let me pull up Klawf here. He has crabs. Oh wait, how many crabs do you have? This is kind of a crab. This is a crab, and this is a crab. He's got 3 pseudo crabs. He's crab maxing. That's awesome. This roster, I don't know if the type chart and like roll compression lines up, but it looks cool. There's a lot of cool looking Pokemon on here. He's got the lion, he's got the crabs, he's got the 2 dragons. Like, I think he cooked with this. He's got double fairy. I do think that the fact that he's missing removal is really important for this roster. Is there any removal left in Cube 2? There's Colossal. Boy, I'm surprised. He should probably swap Colossal for Klawf. I think this roster would be a lot better if he just hard swapped in trade-ins, because it is technically Grace right now. He should trade Klawf in for Colossal, like, right now. That would make this team, like, instantly, I think, slightly better. I'm surprised. Did Colossal get drafted in any division? Not this one. Not this one. Not this one. And it did get drafted in Cube 4. Okay. But yeah, I think if Klawf was Colossal, this roster would instantly be a lot better. It would make it more rock weak, though, so maybe not. And, yeah, it's got physical threats, it's got special threats, it's got a really good balance of speed tiers, I would say. And, it's got the fastest thing alive, Ribombee. So, pretty solid all around, just really needs to watch that rock weakness and that hazard weakness. Up next is Ryan. Ryan has got the first pick, low kicks here. Once again, seeing first pick low kicks. And unlike Matt, he has actually drafted removal and hazards. Rosalia having T-Spikes. Mawile having rocks. Okay, he has all his hazards covered on his next picks here. It looks like he first picked... Oh no, he wasn't wheel pick. He was right next to wheel pick. Huge. Now, Altaria is good on this roster. He needs Altaria here. So he first picked low kicks, seeing that Dorky didn't take it, and then on his next 2 picks, he got his hazards settled. And then later on, got the very late Altaria to have Defog available. The speed tiers are pretty okay. 110 and 109. High speed tiers here with Frostlass and Heliolisk. Heliolisk being a very dangerous special attacker. And Frostlass, I haven't talked about Frostlass. So Frostlass is often known as a suicide lead with spikes. However, it does not have access to spikes in this format. So it's got to be a little bit more creative with what it does. But it does have a lot of useful, annoying-ass ghost-type utility moves. It's got Wisp, Taunt, Switcheroo. It's got the classic Destiny Bond. It can run sub-disable sets with its high speed. It gets Pain Split to pseudo-heal itself. So in Switcheroo, being able to trick things with like Choice Band or Choice Scarf. It notably has some very strong physical attacks, with Poltergeist, and Triple Axle. Sucker Punch also. So it gets screens. Oh, it gets, wait, did I miss that? Light Screen Reflect. Oh, yep, it gets screens too, yeah. So even though its typing is kind of not ideal, it's very weak defensively. It's got a lot of useful defensive and offensive utility it can do. It just does not have access to spikes, and it doesn't have access to Toxic. But I don't think it really needs those to do its thing. So very interesting Pokemon. It's going to be very interesting to see what Ryan does with it. He's got Quagsire. We talked about Quagsire earlier. Very good defensive pivot. And I also like the Altaria Quagsire defensive duo here. They put in a lot of work together. And then he took last pick Solvali Rock. Ooh, okay. I feel like he might have also noticed that a lot of teams have a rock weakness. And similar to Polito Shark, wanted to capitalize on that. And then Krogunk is also a very dangerous mixed attacker, having both Nasty Plot and Swords Dance. So it can run 2 different types of boosting options, plus multiple priority options with Sucker Punch on the physical end, Vacuum Wave on the special end, and lots of coverage. So I like this team a fair bit. I do think it might be missing a bit of like pivots. I think there's a lot of pressure on Altaria and Quagsire here to be a defensive backbone. Sorry, Toxic Croak, not Krogunk, my bad. I'm actually so getting yapped out. I talked way too much between last night and today now. But yeah, I actually like this roster a lot. I do think the defensive backbone needs a little bit of help, but Roselia and Mawile, they look small, but they are surprisingly bulky in this format. Up next, this is Kaleika. How does Kaleika, like the lead designer of this format as a whole, not have an actual sprite? Are they running the question mark intentionally? Mods ban this guy. Mods ban this guy. So Kaleika first picked Archeops and followed up with 2 additional fast offensive threats. So right off the gates, running a very fast offensive plan. Kaleika then followed that up with Gligar as a defensive pivot to help these get in. A second defensive pivot in Lantern. Very, very good Voltorn core here. And Illumise being a pivot and removal. And then finally picking up a late Cradilly to get Stealth Rock access. Very interesting to see how this plays out. I personally think that they should have prioritized hazards and removal a bit more highly early. But they were kind of going for the mat philosophy here with their first 3 picks. So I can kind of see the argument for that. They got a very late steal. I'm surprised Caparaja went this late in Pod 2. That said, it was kind of a hedge on Mike's end, on Goater's end, to take it so early. Did Caparaja get drafted in every division? It did. It also, yeah, this went very late in comparison to the other divisions. No spin blocking with a ghost type. I don't think this team really cares about rocks that much. I don't think Cradilly is here to set rocks when you need it. But this team is not trying to win with a hazard war. In fact, if anything, it's mostly going to defog its own stuff. It doesn't have any spinners. It just has defoggers. So, yeah, this team looks very good. It's kind of a hybrid of, they did the mat philosophy of draft the offensive dangerous things early, and then pivoted into taking defensive pivots in the middle, and finally got the utility at the end. I personally think in a more aggressive cube, if people were being more aggressive at drafting hazards and removal, that Kaleika could have gotten really punished for taking the hazard setter so late. And I'm surprised they didn't, because Ryan here took 2 hazard setters super early. Dorky took their hazard setter early. So I don't know how they made away with the really late Cradilly. I think this thing should have gone a lot earlier. Also went notably a lot earlier in every other division too. So getting rewarded for the fact that everyone in Pool 2 was sleeping on Cradilly. Unless they made some trades, like if they've made free agency trades, maybe I'm missing something, but yeah, very, very late pick for Cradilly there, as well as for Beware and Caparaja. I think, okay, Beware went pretty late on average, but Caparaja went a lot earlier on average. This roster is good. I think they got rewarded by the rest of the division letting them get away with some stuff. Like, if you are going to take these 3 fast offensive threats early, the John effect, if you're going to take these first 3 threats in this format this early, you 100% should have the other players in division punishing you by taking your hazards and removal. And Kilika kind of got away for free with it. Moving on to Leezy Peasy. Leezy subscribed to the Gotor club of first pick my wife, and took Gardevoir early. Also taking Cofagrigus very early. Cofagrigus as his second pick. I personally don't hate that. I think that's a really heads-up play. It does put a lot of pressure on them, though, to make sure they draft Ghost Resists, because your first 2 picks are now weak to Ghost. But they managed to make up with that on the type chart here. A little bit, at least. No, I said no normal type. I don't think... If you're going to take these 2 Ghost Weeks so early, I think you do need to put some more intentionality into getting a Ghost Immune. And the fact there's no normal in this roster is kind of a little bit of a red flag. But I do see a really good Firewater Grass here. There is technically a Fairy, a Dragon, and a Steel. Well, this team is very ground weak. This is technically not actually ground weak, but it's a ground immune. But like, there's 5 weaknesses to ground and only 1 resist and 1 immunity. It's a very ground weak team. It's got a really good mix of speed tiers though. The speed and the offensive balance of both special and physical attackers is very well distributed. It's got reasonable defensive pivots. Camerup's having pretty good bulk. It's got 2 Wish Passers, technically speaking. It's got special and physical defensive options with these 2. Brazilian is also very specially defensive naturally. Yeah, I like this roster. It's got hazards. It's got removal. It could maybe want a rocker. But I don't think there's any rockers left in this division, is there? This is what, Cube 2? There is technically Stunfisk. Wait. They took freaking Owen Wilson's over Stunfisk Galar when they don't have a rocker? I think they 100% should not have taken Owen Wilson's. Especially because they already have 108. The 108 versus 110 speed doesn't really matter that much in this format. It does a lot more in other formats, but because there's a lot less 108s and 110s in this format, I think they should 100% make Owen Wilson's into Stunfisk Galar. I know Stunfisk Galar is Cheeks. I know it's Cheeks, but I don't think Owen Wilson's helps anymore. I don't think Owen Wilson's helps here. The other thing about this roster I do kind of like is they have a Trick Room core. They have Mega Camerupt and 2 Trick Room setters, as well as Vikavolt can abuse Trick Room as well. So they have the slow and the fast offensive plans here, which I really like to see. I do think Owen Wilson should probably be Stunfisk Galar, but this thing might be a tech for a specific matchup that they struggle in, so I don't hate it that much. But yeah, this roster is very well rounded, following a lot of the draft basics, I would say. The pillars of a good draft, quote unquote. The pillars of a good draft. I mean, what is a good draft? Up next is Eager. So Eager, I'm really interested to see what they do in this format, because Eager is infamous for making some of the most egregious meme builds in real format, quote unquote real formats. quote-unquote real formats. Notably, most infamous for the mono 10-point rosters. So the fact that they have what looks like a pretty respectable team here is really good to see. First picked Salazzle. Honestly, Salazzle was a pretty top first pick in most divisions. What was his average pick percentage? Was it average 15? Did it get picked? It did get taken in every division. Okay, so there's a couple divisions where it got taken a lot slower then. Probably in the last 2 divisions then. They have Gallade being like probably the strongest physical attacker in the format. They have a spinner. They have Wartortle as a spinner, and they don't have hazards, but they do have toxic Guzzlord. Guzzlord being the only toxic abuser illegal. And they have a really solid Fairy Dragon Steel here, double Fairy technically. Fairy Dragon Steel here. They have a Fire Water Grass with the very light Decidueye. And they have a Wish Passer with a pretty sizable HP stat that they can easily patch to like Wartortle and Piloswine. So I don't hate that. Really well-rounded defensive core here. They have 2 very good offensive threats and a couple of support offensive threats here with Decidueye and from Frost. Now, the one biggest meme from draft day here, Eager they made a pick and then it got back to them like early in the morning or something. And so they tried to pick Rotom Frost twice. They tried to back-to-back pick Rotom Frost because they didn't realize that their earlier pick had gone through. And so, I think if this roster was actually trying to do what it's doing, it would just have 5 more Rotom Frosts on the end here. I think that's what Eager really wanted. It's just 5 Rotom Frosts. But unfortunately, you can't only have one of the same Pokemon on a roster, and that's just how life goes sometimes. You can only one Rotom Frost. Life sucks, But yeah, I think this roster is really good. No hazards access is a little bit of a missed opportunity, especially when you have teams like Dorkies that are so weak to hazards. This team is super weak to rock, has no removal. So the fact that Eager doesn't have a single hazard setter, especially when, if I go and look on the Cube 2 page here, there is 2 great hazard setters, quote-unquote great. 2 quote-unquote great hazard setters that they could have taken. I do actually think Garbodor would be really good for their team. Yeah, I think Garbodor would be really big on this team. Like if Decidueye or Fortress, if any of these last 5 Pokemon was Garbodor, I'd actually like this team a lot more. Because I think that having access to hazards would be so big for what this team is trying to do. So, yeah, I like this team. I do think it needs hazards. I'm glad that it has removal. And we do see Guzzlord get drafted. Did Guzzlord get drafted? We got drafted in most divisions. Okay, just not Cube 1. Cool. And then finally, on the wheel pick is C2. And once again, shoutouts to C2 for their work on the Smokecube page. I'm really interested to see how that Smokecube page influenced their drafting decisions here. So, right off the rip, first pick Revavroom, and then they were on the wheel, so they also took Claydol. They basically took Revavroom and one of its best checks, which I really like the look of. Taking Revavroom and then seeing that like it's a really strong offensive threat, what can actually answer it? I'm going to take a removal mon and a answer to it. Really heads up play, in my opinion. I like the Claydol pick a lot here. Their next 2 picks, they got the speed with Whimsicott and Sigilyph. Getting access to removal as well as something that ignores removal, or ignores hazards rather. So basically saying that they don't really care about... They're not going to let themselves lose a hazard war. They have options to deal with that. So also getting 2 special attackers. Their next 2 wheel picks was 2 physical offensive threats. I actually don't hate the fact they took double, like, ground and fight, or double fighting weak here. Because they already had 3 fighting resists and a neutrality, they had no real reason to worry about a fighting weakness. So, really interesting to see double slow physical threat back-to-back here. Notably, Avalugg Hisui does not get access to Rapid Spin. So it's not a removal mon. It's missing one of its main niches. And it does not have access to boots. So it has to be very careful about switching into hazards. So that is something to keep in mind. Pangoro, I said this early, it's a huge threat. It's speed tier. It's better than it looks in normal formats, but I think 58 is just a little bit too slow for what I would prefer. But like it has Scrappy, it has Iron Fist, I think it has Guts too, so it's a very dangerous. Let me pull this up again. Pangoro. Okay, it does not get Guts. It gets Mold Breaker, which is just as relevant, actually. Just for different reasons. So yeah, Pangoro, huge threat. Love to see it. And then 2 special attackers. Tatsugiri. Finally finishing off the Firewater Grass here. With the Whimsicott. They also have a fairy, a dragon. Do they have a dragon? No dragon, just a fairy and a steel. No, oh, sorry, yeah, Tatsugiri's a dragon. Yeah, fairy, dragon, steel, and a Firewater Grass. Love to see it. 2 mid-speed special attackers. Notably, Tatsugiri does not have access to Rapid Spin. So it's a lot less of a setup threat and more of like a choice specs abuser. So one of the things you can do with Tatsugiri with Rapid Spin is that you can abuse the speed boost you get from Rapid Spin to make it like a fast nasty plot attacker. Excuse me. But that is kind of off the table without Rapid Spin access. So do keep that in mind. Does get Dragon Dance technically. Gets Memento as utility. And Taunt as well. But yeah, it does not have access to Rapid Spin. Its special coverage is kind of limited. It's mostly just Water and Dragon moves. It doesn't even get Ice Beam. It only gets Icy Wind. How does this thing not get Ice Beam, dude? That's kind of tragic. Is Outrage. Does get also, so instead of Rapid Spin, you have to run Dragon Dance, which is probably fine. You can still technically run Dual Dance, but the real reason for this to be so dangerous is Storm Drain, and I would honestly just run Choice Specs on it 90% of the time. Run Choice Specs Draco Meteor, like that's what this thing does in this format. It's pretty one-dimensional, but a water immunity is highly useful. Is always useful. So, and then the very late Magneton. Did Magneton get drafted in every? What was Magneton's pick percentage? It was picked in every division, and it was picked on average in the second quarter or the third quarter of each draft. And then last pick Zangoose, which I have a bit of a soft spot for. I also took last pick Zangoose, so I respect it. I respect it. The team seems pretty well rounded. I like that it has its type cores. I do wish it had more hazard setting. Like, I don't know if this team really wants Stunfisk Galar, but it's not really trying to play a long game. It's got defensive stuff, but not like stall out the game defensive stuff. So I don't think it really needs hazards as badly as some other rosters did. But I'm really excited to see what C2 does after seeing the work they put into the Smoke Cube submissions. They put a lot of time and effort into the descriptions in the Smoke Cube here. So 90% of the Pokemon, or not 90%, like at least half of these submissions submitted by C2. They did their research. They know what's good and what's not. So I'm really excited to see how they put that information to the test in some of these matchups they have. And we're making pace. Let's move on to cube number 2, or number 3, sorry. This is cube number 3. We have Lethal Blue. He's rocking the blue character avatar. And their first pick was Golisopod. There's been a lot of controversy for and against Golisopod. throughout a bunch of different drafters. But seeing it get first pick here, I think, what was the average pick percentage of Golisopod? 15. Okay. Not as high as I was expecting, but still relatively high. Basically in the first couple rounds of picks. So yeah, Golisopod is the first pick. Following that up with Gardevoir and extremely early Owen Wilson's. Dugtrio Alola getting picked at much higher than average. Interesting to see here. So Owen Wilson's coming in clutch. They grabbed another Electric Immune. I like that the fact that they grabbed 2 Electric Immunes to support the Golisopod here. Decidueye and Lantern being a really good pivot offensive utility core. They got their speed tier. This is a very late Salazzle. Wait, how did Salazzle went super late in this division? Yeah, super late for Salazzle to go in this division. They've got these guys kind of have like the same vibes going on. They got the big, got their big hands up, yeah. But yeah, Crabominable and Guzzlord coming in kind of clutch at the end here, and then continuing to grab a bunch of speed tiers here with Pyroar at the end and a last pick Cloth as well. This team has hazards. It does not have removal, but it does have toxic. I don't hate this. I like that it has hazards. I think the rock weakness is it's not as bad as some rosters we've seen. It's not ideal. I think having this much rock weakness kind of means you should have a removal option. Crab, yeah, double crab again. Yeah, the crab duo once again. This team it's covering up its fighting weakness pretty well. It does have a ghost type. It has a quad resist. It's got offensive resist. It's got defensive resists. Yeah, I think this team just really needs some sort of removal. Is there any removal left in Cube 3? Oh, there's a lot. Oh, there's 3. There's 2 spinners. They were not respecting any of the removal here. Okay. Interesting to see that. I think this team actually really wants more Peko, unironically. I think this Pyroar should probably be more Peko instead. Or maybe Guzzlord instead of more Pico. But I think there's a lot of options in the end here where more Pico can slot in pretty easily. They also have double fire, so they don't really need I think this, yeah, Pyroar should 100% be more Pico, and then this has removal options, and also is kind of spamming electric moves very well. If there's, I don't know what the rest of the division is like yet, but if there's teams that have poor electric resist, I think the more Pico pickup is super good for this. Luke Nukem with the first pick, Cofagrigus. Second pick overall, too. That's very, very early. Locking in that T-Spike setter early, and then following it up with a relatively early Claydol, too. Except that's not even that early for Claydol. Claydol went pretty early in most divisions. Yeah, I like the Sneasel pick. I don't think there's anything else. They got their Fairy and their Dragon here, and then a Steel. Fairy, Dragon, Steel, all back to back. Love to see the type cores. And then they got the Fire Water Grass immediately afterwards. And then they also locked in 2 of the highest speed tiers, 2 of the top 5 fastest mons in the format. Rabombi and Sneasel. It makes my heart happy to see not much removal. I wonder why I might have that opinion. I wonder what Drix is cooking with the... I love to see no removal. That said, this team has really good removal. It has, I think, the best spinner in the format with Claydol. It's got hazards options that make your opponent have to respect them. And it's got a balance of offense and defense. And it's got, like I said, 2 of the fastest things in the format. And it does have a bit of a rock weakness. But actually, no, it doesn't. It covers the rock weakness really well. Lots of resists for the rock types. And double ground also. So this team notably eats electric types alive. Which might be part of why Lethal Blue did not want to take more Pico. 2 ground types on one roster, though, means that there's a lot less ground types available for other rosters. So we'll see how that comes out to play. I don't think there's any other restricted moves to mention here. They do have Trick Room access, but the only real Trick Room abuser is Dragelgi, and Dragelgi is not actually that slow in relative to a lot of the other stuff in the format. So they do have Trick Room access. They don't really need it. Interesting to see if that changes anything going forward. Up next is Stormtide, the commissioner of the NHL, the Nidoking Heritage League, and they are also on the camp of first pick low kicks. It was the 3rd pick overall in this division instead of the 1st and 2nd, I believe. Yeah, in the other 2. But still, very respectable early pick for low kicks. And did they take any removal or hazards? They did not. So they look like they're subscribing to the Matt camp of who needs hazards and removal when I just draft nukes. And just looking at a glance at their team here, we have a nuke. We have very fast special threats. This thing is kind of... Wait, no, this has hazards. Wait. Okay, Mawile does have hazards. It's just not showing up on the restricted access tab. Mods, fix that. Mods. Mods. Wait, was there anything on Luke Nukem's? He has hazard removal, that's fine. Yeah, no removal here. Yeah, so Drix does have, or sorry, Stormtide does have hazards. It's just not showing up on the restricted access here. Mods, you should fix that before week 1 starts, please and thank you. Last thing you want is for someone to forget that something has actually does have access to hazards. Has hazards. Doesn't have removal, but does have immunity to hazards. The Magic Guard pivot option here being pretty interesting. Their rock weakness is also not the worst. I think it's quad weak to rock. Oh, yeah, that's right. Articuno being quad weak to rocks makes a lot of sense. Like, they do have an even number of resists and weak to rock mons, so I like to see that. Not every matchup is going to have stealth rock as a factor, and so they can kind of play around that. They have a strong electric type and an electric immunity, so that whole electric game they have pretty well figured out. And their speed tiers are really good. Oh, that's something I forgot about. Wug Trio is actually the 2nd fastest thing in the format. Which means that Sneasel would be the 5th fastest thing. I forgot about Wug Trio. Good speed tiers, good middle speed tiers, a Trick Room setter and a Trick Room abuser. And then Beware also. Almost missed the Beware. Another really dangerous physical threat here. Yeah, this team looks really well rounded. I do think the no removal is a little bit of a gambit, but if you look at this division, was it Cube 3? There's a lot of hazard setters that did not get drafted. Actually, no, sorry. A lot of removal did not get drafted. Most of the hazard setters did get drafted. So it looks like a lot of people in Cube 3 are just ignoring hazards. Which is very interesting to see. Would this team be better with Rosalia? Actually, with any remover on it. Is Stormtide? I think Morpeko could actually slot into a lot of different slots on here. Although it is kind of in contention with low kicks. I also would generally not really recommend Tropius on this roster. But maybe Tropius is better than Articuno. I don't know. I think Articuno is by far better in a vacuum, but in the no hazards removal aspect of this team, maybe Tropius is necessary. We'll see. I think this team has a good mix of breakers and utility. A lot of breakers, actually, though. Breaker, offensive threats. Mawile can actually be a very dangerous breaker because it has sheer force plus life orb access. Wug Trio can run Choice Band, which is like one of the few ways of salvaging its damage. Slowbro, Galar, the lesser of the two Galar bros. Galar slows. Still has some very dangerous options, and because of its signature move being physical or special, depending on the situation, it can catch a lot of things off guard with those mixed attacking stats. Beware's a breaker. Palossand isn't exactly a breaker, but it has like 100 special attack, I believe. It's pretty strong. Yeah, 100 special attack, plus like really spammable special moves. Earth Power, Shadow Ball, Scorching Sands can spam Scald. It's basically Scald, but ground type. Sludge Bomb hits grass types. Technically has grass coverage too to hit water types. And other ground types as well. So this team has a lot of, I would say, attackers. A lot of attacking threats. Here's Drix. Drix, I know you've been waiting for this, like, basically the whole time. Yo, you got the Larry avatar? Okay, wait. The Larry avatar? Okay. You're cooking with that one. Let's go. Stormtide also notably has the Gen 2 Misty. The Boomer Misty sprite. Luke Nukem, no sprite! Who else? C2 had the Cameraman. Eager with the Hiker. Leezy Peasy with Clive. I can't believe Killica does not have an actual sprite. That's crazy to me. Dorky with our boy Clay. Alright, I had to go back and double check. Let's take a look at Drix though. So Drix first picked Cradilly. Okay. That is definitely not what most people did. But first picking has been something I can get behind. Cradilly also is I think pretty solid in this format as a whole, so love to see it. Second pick Mimikyu. Do you have a Trick Room core that you tried to build from the get-go, or not really? Okay. I like the Delphox here. I think having Wish access is always good, and it's a fast speed tier. That said, the fact that it's your fastest thing is a little bit suspect. Especially because you also don't have a slow team. Like, your team is relatively moderate on speed tiers. So you can't really abuse Trick Room as well as you might expect. Pangoro. Very early Pangoro compared to other divisions. It did get drafted in every division. But yeah, very early compared to other divisions here. Stunfisk Galar as your rock setter. However, you already had a rock setter. Yeah, you were just trying to hate draft all the hazards, which I'm a fan of. I love to see it. But I don't know if you needed the Stunfisk here. Although, actually, I do like Stunfisk with Wish support. I don't hate that. We finally see Garbodor get drafted. I think this is the only division it got drafted in. No, it did get drafted in the bottom. Okay, it got drafted in 2 divisions. But actually drafting Garbodor here. We got the special nuke option here. Vikavolt, I think, very slept on in this format. I really wanted to draft it, but my team was just way too slow. It was hard to fit on my team as it was. So I like to see it here. And then, how the heck did you get last pick of Veluza? Bro's gonna fillet away all day. Fillet away all day. I only got picked in like half the divisions? Damn, okay. That's crazy work. Very, very late pick, Veluza. But I love to see it here. It completes a Fire, Water, Grass for you. I believe you have a Fairy, a Dragon, and a Steel. So that's fair. Yeah, you got the roll compression. Fair. I love to see Zangoose. Late Zangoose pick, always fire. Yeah, I think maybe this is just a review of Pool 3 or Cube 3 as a whole. But I feel like the pick orders are, like, this seems normal for pick orders, I would say. But, like, looking at Stormtide, or sorry, Luke. No, this seems pretty normal. Very early Camerupt. Did Camerupt get taken in every division? No, one of the divisions did not get drafted. I think that's Division 2, it didn't get drafted. I could be wrong, though. Oh, I see. You're slandering Altaria because you drafted it. I see. I see. You're like, oh, I'll take this. It has removal, and then looked at it and were kind of disappointed. Fair, fair. I can see that. I will say, it does have Will-O-Wisp. It got access to Will-O-Wisp this generation. Which makes it very interesting as a defensive mon. It's also got like pretty usable defensive stats. I wouldn't say good, but usable. And Natural Cure is also pretty useful. That said, I think Natural Cure is a lot less important in this format because there's no toxic spam. So it is important to note that. And yeah, the rest of the team looks pretty interesting. I just feel like this is a team where I look at the pick order and it feels like a lot of these are inverted. Like, I think that, like, Veluza should be picked way at the beginning, and that stuff like Pangoro should probably be taken later, like, or at least in the middle. I don't know. I feel like Veluza getting take this last is kind of crazy. Your round one picks got... Oh, you got sniped super early. Okay, I see. You had to panic pick. I see, I see. But yeah, I think this team's pretty well-rounded. I like that you have kind of a monopoly on hazards. You took, like, almost half the hazard users, which we love to see that. Up next, we have Bobozab with the clown, with ye old clown avatar. First pick War Turtle? Yo, let's go, dude. War Turtle stonks on the rise. Holy. So notably, double removal, no hazards. And actually, I can see exactly why. He's got 3 notable rock weak powerhouses, and he's saying, nah, I don't want any of that on my field. Yeah, 4 rock weaknesses. He does have 2 resistances, though. So not completely left to the 9s with rock weakness. This team is really interesting because it doesn't have a ground type, but it does still have electric immunity. And it has pretty reasonable electric resists. So their electric resist being Marowak Alola is a bit of a non-ideal situation, but they can definitely make it work, and it's better than having no electric immune, like some people. So I don't hate it. It's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out. Also, last pick Mega Audino. Mega Audino did get picked pretty lately, but yeah. I respect the removal, but I will keep hazards up. You can't stop me from getting hazards up. No, yeah, I like that they decided that they were actually going to draft removal with the Rock Week team. Also double dinosaur. Ayo, double dinosaur? We gaming? We got double dinosaur gaming here? The speed tiers look fine. I do think a 90 speed tier is a bit of a weak point for this team. A bit of a gap between 108 and 86. Not the worst. Definitely seen worse speed tiers in higher power level formats. So not the worst thing known to man, but lots of clumping at the 85 to be a little bit conscious of. I like the Wish Pass. I don't like that they have a lack of a Trick Room setter. I said this earlier, Marowak does not need Trick Room in this format. Similar to Crabominable, where there's some matchups where it's just faster than everything relevant anyways, so it doesn't really need the Trick Room to get in, to put in work. But that said, I do think Trick Room would probably help with some of the harder matchups they might have. I think we have Fairy Water, Fire Water, no Fire type actually. No, we have Fire, Water, Grass. No Steel type though. So no complete Fairy, Dragon, Steel. And yeah, we got removal. They got removal. Looks pretty good. And here we go, NN Plus. With the first pick, Palmont, once again, I think a very good first pick. They were the wheel pick, so them getting Palmont was a little bit lucky. But I love the Palmont and Piloswine first 2 picks as their wheels. I think that's a really heads up first 2 picks. Taking the early removal here with Whimsicott and having no access to removal just because, like, between there's a couple teams in this division that just stole all the removal or all the hazards. I mean, Drix, you took 3 hazard setters. Only 1 here on Stormtide's team, even though it doesn't say so. Luke Nukem taking both hazards and removal. And Lethal Blue getting hazards. So yeah, none left for NN Plus by the looks of it. Was there anything left on the hazards end in Cube 3 here? Just Rosalia. Okay. Yes, I mentioned that earlier. But having removal boots. And Silvally Rock. Ooh, okay. Probably recognizing a lot of teams are very weak to rock types. Picking up the Silvally Rock to punish that. Their rock weakness is more than covered for. Ooh, the late Gallade. What the heck? Gallade went super late in this division. Also, we have not seen this picked until now. Centiscorch being the only boots user. Love to see it as a last pick here. Pretty heads up, last pick. Yeah, I think I like to look at this generally speaking. They have removal. They have a good mix of special and physical threats. Really interested to see what Sableye does. Their type chart doesn't look the worst. Although no ghost resist is kind of feels bad. I do think a normal type a normal type would help this team a lot. Like if Sableye was an actual ghost resist instead of a neutral to ghost, I think that would probably help. And the speedsters look really good. They also have a good mix of slower mons and faster mons. So I think this team is pretty well balanced that way. So generally speaking, I think Cube 3 had the best balance of reasonably built rosters so far. I think in Cube 1 there were some nasty rosters, but there's also some just very lazily built rosters in Cube 1. Like, this is so lazy, dude. Like, come on, dude. What are we talking about here? Look at all these Rock Week, right? There was other rosters in Cube 2, or in Cube 1. Like, 4 electric communities is overkill, right? Like, very, very stunted. I had, like, a complete monopoly on different hazard and removal. And then Cube 2 also had some very, like, I don't care about removal rosters. I don't care about hazards rosters. No, that actually does have hazards. This has 2 hazard setters that are also not mentioned up here. Like, I think Cube 2 had a fair mix of some rosters that were, like, got away with things they shouldn't have. But Cube 3 looks like people were, generally speaking, like, pretty respecting the whole I need either hazards or removal or both. So I do think the rosters in Cube 3 look a lot more balanced than Cubes 1 and 2. And finally, Cube 4. Raging Rex starts off strong with first pick Wartortle. Oh my god, dude, the Wartortle stonks to the moon, dude. Let's go. Firewater Grass off the bat, following it up with an immediate Fairy Dragon Steel. They've got hazards, they've got removal, they've got boots, they've got the whole 9 yards. They got everything. They got their checklist complete. They have a ground immune, electric immune. They've got not quite the speed tiers I would hope for. I do think something above 100 would maybe help a bit, but they have pretty good defensive pivots that can kind of make up for that. And yeah, this looks pretty solid. I like that they have Firewater Grass and the Fairy Dragon Steel right off the rip. I like that they have a fair number of hazards and removal options. Having the removal options also helps a lot with Articuno. Having a spinner. Do they have a... They have boots. They don't have another defogger. They just have a spinner. Having access to all 3 hazards between Cradilly and Garbodor here, pretty important. I just think the speed tiers need a bit of help. I don't. Does Sableye get Trick Room? Sableye gets Trick Room. No, it doesn't. So unfortunate. Yeah, I think if Sableye had Trick Room, I'd rate this a bit higher. I do think this roster kind of wants a Trick Room setter. I don't think Palossand does either. No, it only gets Trick. Yeah. So yeah, I would rate this team a bit higher if it had a Trick Room setter. I like the removal. I like the hazards. Overall, pretty well balanced roster. Could use a bit more of like outright offense, but it's got pretty good physical attackers. And a little bit shy on special attackers, but not the worst. Up next is Antot, or Antot. Any Prankster mons? Yes, I'm pretty sure there's at least one. Let me do Prankster, Brick Room. A Net Mega, Klefki, Meowstic, Whimsicott. Oh, Whimsicott gets Trick Room. Oh shit! Wait. They did not have a trick. They did not have Whimsicott. What the heck do you mean Whimsicott gets Trick Room? I did not know that. How did I not know that? So Antot next. First pick Palmont. Love to see it. Double electric, very dangerous, as we've seen some rosters go in on the electric spam. This team has got 2 hazard setters and removal. Yeah, 2 hazard setters and removal. This is, I think, the best team I've seen all day. I think this is the best team I've seen all day. This team has got speed tiers. It's got low speed tiers. It's got hazards. It's got removal. It's got threats. It's got everything. Yeah. I'm gonna say it. I think this is the best team. This is the best team I've seen all season. I would rate this. This is the Jortson best team, I think. You got a Fairy Dragon Steel. Multiple dragons, also notably. 3 dragons. Oh shit. Wait. 3 dragons and like reasonable fairy resists. Also, one of the dragons isn't even weak to fairy, which helps too. They do have double fighting, which is a little bit... I think these two have a fair bit of overlap, so maybe Virizion could be something different here. Also a bit of a speed gap between 105 and 83. That I'm not... I don't think it's a huge issue with the higher speed you have, but something to keep in mind that 90s can be kind of challenging to speed creep effectively. But, like, I think this is probably one of the best teams this season. You've got special nukes, you've got physical nukes, you've got special cleaners, you got physical cleaners. Like, the only thing this team struggles with is other ground types. Having two fast electrics, like this team's worst nightmare is Palossand. Palossand kind of owns this team. So do you have to be conscious of that? But overall, I think this team is awesome. They do have a bit of a ground weakness. I think that's fine though. You can kind of choose what ground weak mons you're actually going to bring. You can also bring Balloon. Like a Balloon on Tyrantrum makes it a lot harder for certain mons to stop. Like Balloon Tyrantrum, Balloon Dragalge even can be a really funny bulky pivot. So I don't hate this. Overall, I think this is the best team I've seen. It's got hazards and removal. Like, what else can I say? And it's got so many threats. Up next is Tilted Tony. He's got the Gambler. I think that's the Gambler sprite, unless there's a different name for it. He first picked Whimsicott. Really interesting. very early Whimsicott compared to other picks. He took the Cofagrigus for hazards and the Guzzlord for toxic. So looking to toxic spam people. He's also got pretty reasonable speed tiers. Really, actually, a wide spread of fast mons here. Whimsicott being, I think, the third fastest thing in the format. Oh, sorry, the fourth fastest thing in the format. He sniped my first pick, Madge. Wait, you wanted to first pick? You wanted to first pick Whimsicott? That's crazy. Okay, I think it's good. I don't think it's first pick good, but maybe I'm underrating the little boy, just the little guy. It's a funny little guy. Second pick, Tentacruel. I don't hate the Tentacruel pick here. It does have really good type synergy with Whimsicott, but I'm not sure if he knew it lacked hazards and removal when he picked it. I feel like if you're gonna pick Tentacruel this early, you have a reason for it, and I'm not entirely sure what the reason is for it yet. But he did complete a Firewater Grass here. So love to see that. He's got two steel types, two very useful steel types. Like offensive steel types, I guess. With Owen Wilson's for speed control and Magnezone to trap other steel types. Notably, though, two of the steel types in this format are ground steel, so like I don't even think it's a good trapper half the time, is it? I guess it has sturdy sets. I can do something cool with sturdy, maybe. This team also looks really good. Two electric types. You're kind of electric spam here. You do have a ground type, but you have to be careful because this thing is not very sturdy, and I guess you don't really care that much about electric weakness. They drafted, I think they're one of the only people to draft Mr. Toucannon, which, honestly, I love to see. I was really torn on being able to draft Toucannon or not myself. It just was too slow for my roster, but on this roster, it looks like it's very well supported because you have the fast things. You don't need it for speed control. And it does fill in a pretty nice lower speed tier for this team. So I love to see the Toucannon here. Mr. Fruit Loops himself. And yeah, this team looks good too. These teams both look good, dude. What the heck? I think what happened is the other divisions saw some of the dog shit going on in Cube 1 and we're like, okay, let me make a good team. Because these three teams all look so much better than most of the other teams I've looked at today. Maybe I'm just losing my mind. Soup, here's your team. Let's tear this to shreds. I did play a scrim against this. I don't know if I'm gonna have time for that tonight. My voice is starting to go, dude. I'm starting to lose my voice. You first picked low kicks. Average low kicks first picker. And you took removal and you took a Violite Mon. Did you? Piloswine has hazards. Why is it not on the thing up here? Mods. Mods. Yeah, I don't. You have removal and you have hazards. I like more Pico here. The double dark is actually surprisingly oppressive in this format. If someone doesn't have one of the two, the very strong fighting types, like if we look at the cube here, if a roster does not have Pangoro or Beware, I guess Piloswine is a choice band. Yeah, no rocks. I guess I'm running choice band. Yeah, if a roster does not have Pangoro or Beware or Primeape, having double dark puts so much pressure on them. So I love to see that. I do like the double dark here. Granted, we'll see how it actually lines up in different matchups. You do technically have a Firewater Grass. You have double Ghost types in your Firewater Grass, though. You support the Ghost weakness? Oh, you do. Oh, because you have double Dark type. Ooh, okay. I don't hate that. You have a Fairy type and a Dragon type and a Steel type in the same. So also technically a Fairy Dragon Steel. I don't think it's as important, but good to see. Your speed tiers, lots of 80 range, but also got some lower speed tiers. I don't think you have a Trick Room Setter, which would be nice for Marowak, but it's also not required because The rest of your speed tiers are pretty aggressive. There's a big jump between Ribombee and Morpeko, but because that gap is less full than it would normally be, I think that's fine. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm missing. You got lots of priority options. Sucker Punch, in First Impression, Ice Shard. This has got Shadow Sneak. Like, lots of dangerous priority options here. You gotta be very careful offensively against this team. Looks good to me. I don't think it's as good as this team, though. I think this team is nuts. I think this team is very well balanced. Very fast. So, not the best team in this cube by my impression, but still very solid. Up next is OM Cheesy, our boy. And OM Cheesy has gone the... We're just going to draft threats by the looks of things. Threat. Kind of a threat. They do have removal with Colossal. Only time Colossal got drafted, I think. Yeah. Only Colossal Believer and only Pinsir Believer. Oh, yo, we got some heroes. We got some low-tier heroes on this roster. Hello? Hello? We got some low-tier heroes on here. Let's go. Two only picked ones on this. Oh, did I mess up something over here? Why is Toadscruel not showing up properly? Oh, did he trade for Toadscruel? Did he make a trade already? Wait. Was there a trade already? Is it the first trade? Where's it? Why is there no trade channel? Announcements, missions, 1, 2, 3, 4. Did he make it at the end of draft? Brace trade. He's traded in Dash Bun for Toadscruel. Okay. Interesting. Rip Dash Bun, but I don't hate it. Wait, oh, did he not have a ground type before doing that? Oh, that's why. Yeah, no ground type. Making the trade right off the rip. Okay, heads up decision there. There's no trades channel. Where's the trades channel? Yeah, Toadscruel pickup, very heads up, seeing that you don't... No, you had an electric immune, though. I guess maybe he didn't have enough rock resists. That was probably it, actually. The rock weakness is kind of nasty here. He does have removal with Colossal, but that is weak to rock. So you gotta be very careful with that. I don't know why they banned boots on Colossal. Colossal 100% needs boots to be a good removal mon. No boots on this, I feel like, is a huge missed opportunity. Yeah, this team has got crazy threats. It's got pretty aggressive speed tiers. No Trick Room. Technically, Gallade has Trick Room, actually. But I don't think it's really going to be abusing Trick Room. Why doesn't rock resist rock? Dude, have you ever smashed two rocks against each other? They, like, destroy each other. When you take a rock, right, and you smash against another rock, it, like, sends splinters. I started turning green for a second there. When you take two rocks and you smash them together, it just makes a bunch more rocks. Like, they do not resist each other, fam. They make a mess. Yeah, I like this roster. I'm glad they picked up a ground type for a rock resist. It's exciting to see what they're going to do with Archeops. Archeops has been pretty controversial, generally speaking. It was picked in every division, though, so. How hard are you banging rocks together? Unga Bunga Ash Stream. Tell me you didn't have a childhood without saying you didn't have a childhood. Holy shit, dude. Have you never gone, like, you know, down by the river and just chucked rocks in the river? You know, down by the river. You never gone down by the river and chucking some rocks around? You never go spelunking Make some rocks make spelunking noises. You ever go smash rocks against your head? I did. I turned out done fine. They never shattered, like, no, well, if you get, like, slate, specifically slate rocks, shatter like glass. If you have, like granite or marble, like, they still, like, if you have, like, a geode, right? Like, you break a geode by smashing it on another rock, right? Like, dude, rock v rock wars go crazy, okay? The rock civil wars go insane. Don't even get me started on the political complicacies of rock v rock civil war. Okay, and finally, we have Lilia as our last member of Cube 4. Lilia rocking... Is that a new character from the DLC? I feel like I should know who that is, but I don't. For the sprite. But, Lilia, hazards, removal, threat, and a wish passer. This team is actually what I wish my team was. I wish my team was this good. Stealth rock, removal. They're covering their rock weakness pretty well. Their ground weakness leaves a bit to be desired. However, Claydol does have levitate, which is not accounted for on that type chart. So, oh, so does Rotom. Okay, never mind. That ground weakness is very well covered. Ghost and Dragon weakness pretty well accounted for. This team is also one of the best teams this season. What the heck? Speed tiers look relatively fine. A bit of a drop off between Salazzle and Sigilif. Not the worst. They do have a Trick Room setter. They don't really have abusers for it, but they don't really need abusers for Trick Room. Does Rotom get Trick Room actually? I think it does. Yeah, I think it does get Trick Room. No, it doesn't. Okay, never mind then. Yeah, I like this team. Fire, water, grass, steel, and fairy, but no. Oh, they do have a dragon. Yep, double fairy actually. I actually really wanted to put these two fairies together. The Audino and Mawile duo. Yeah, what the heck? Dude, Cube 4 definitely has the best rosters. Like, no stop. I would rate the roster quality in inverse order. I think Cube 4 has the best rosters, and Cube 1 has the worst rosters, and 3 has the second best, and Cube 3 is the third best, so... Yeah. I think that's all the rosters. I don't think there's anything I missed. All the way to the end here, Lilia. I like the late Sovali pickup. I mentioned that earlier. It's so much easier to do roster reviews when there's only 84 Pokemon as opposed to like 1,000. Holy shit. It's actually okay. This made roster reviews go so much quicker. I was worried I was going to take like 4 hours to do this, but no. Once you've reviewed Garbodor once, you don't have to go through it every single time. Well, chat. I'm open for any questions on any rosters that you think you've seen. Anything you think I'm wrong about. I'm sure I'm probably wrong about at least half of this. But also, no, I'm not. I'm right. No, I'm correct. Actually, I'm correct. Let's see, it looks like everyone else is kind of dipped for the most part. But, anything else I'm missing in regards to everything going on here? Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's anything else for me to say. I think it's just a matter of seeing how the matchups go. For those of you who were paying attention to some of the stuff in the background, the trainer cards are showing the week 1 matchups currently. So Polito Shark and Overmat are playing week 1. Azzy is playing Goater 12, and I am playing Gensuzu in Division 1. So Just so you know, that's how that all works. And I'm gonna be so real. I have talked so much. I think I need to end stream for my own voice. Let me see if this one worth rating into for anyone who is still here. I don't think Vanilla is doing anything this weekend, is she? Oh shit, Quips and Guac. With 3. Oh, let me rate into them. Yeah, I'm gonna raid Quips and Guac. Thank you guys for coming out to the review stream. For those of you who don't know Quips and Guac, they do a bunch of Commander related content. They have a really cool YouTube channel that I'm often showing off to my friends. They're really funny. And they have some of the best shitpost art quality I've seen in a while. So, yeah, we're gonna send a raid to them. I need to go make dinner and figure out what I'm doing with my evening. Soup, if you're still alive, I gotta talk to you as soon as I'm done this raid. I will be back on Sunday. I'm gonna be busy all day Saturday. I'm visiting some friends for a birthday party. But I will be doing my usual Sunday bullshit on Sunday. I might also try to do that, what's the name of that stream again? The PGP lineup stream. But I am by no means prepared for that, so we'll see how sober I am on Sunday. And, yeah, I'll be posting some more updates on my other content. I have been meaning to do some video editing and getting no progress on it, but you know, that's just how life goes. Anyways, thank you for coming out. I'm Jordson. I will see you on Sunday, and please say hi to the raid. I will be tuning in for a bit too.